There comes a moment in every Scorpio's life when silence becomes their final answer. They don't explode, they don't beg, they don't explain, they disappear. Not because they're cold, but because something inside them died the moment you crossed a line they never said out loud, but always felt. Scorpio doesn't raise their voice to set boundaries. They let you walk through their soul like a forest, and they observe. Once, twice. And the third time, you'll find nothing left. No warmth, no entrance, not even a memory of who you once were in their eyes. You see, most people misunderstand Scorpio. They think the stinger is what makes them dangerous. But what truly makes them untouchable is what they refuse to tolerate at any bound. They won't shout, they won't slam doors, but they will cut the spiritual cord that tied you to their soul, and that, my friend, is something you'll feel for the rest of your life. Because when a Scorpio decides you no longer deserve access to their energy, it is a spiritual exile. No appeal, no return. This isn't about anger. This isn't even about ego. This is about sacred law, the inner code written in the soul of every Scorpio since birth. It's what protects their love. It's what guards their rebirth. And if you want to know what that law forbids, tonight we open the vault, because here are 10 things that Scorpio will never tolerate, no matter who you are, no matter how much they once loved you. And if you're a Scorpio, you're about to feel seen in a way that will shake something deep in your bones. Let's begin. Thing 1, being lied to, even once. For most people, a small lie is just that, a small thing. A slip, a white lie. Something meant to protect, to avoid conflict, to delay the storm. But not for Scorpio. For Scorpio, a lie, no matter how minor, is a rupture in the soul. It's not about the content of the lie, it's about the intent behind it. Because Scorpio isn't just listening to your words. They're reading your vibration. They're tracking the hesitation in your voice, the micro-expressions. You don't realize you're making the shift in your energy the second your truth disconnects from your mouth. They feel it. Instantly. They may not say a word in that moment, but inside the investigation begins. They start remembering every inconsistency, every contradiction you didn't think they'd catch. They start collecting patterns, connecting dots, building the case. And once Scorpio confirms that lie, they don't confront you with rage. They confront you with withdrawal. They leave with their trust. And once that's gone, there's no glue on earth that can put the bond back together. I remember a story from a Scorpio woman named Alana. She loved a man who always said he was just friends with someone from his past. She didn't push. She trusted his word. She watched. One night she felt the shift. He came home late. His energy wasn't off, but it was too perfect, too careful. That's when she knew, not from what he said, but from what he was trying too hard not to reveal. She never yelled. She never accused. She simply said, "You don't have to explain. I already know." And she left. He never saw her again. Months later, he begged her to talk. But for Scorpio, when trust dies, love dies with it. To the outside world, this may look extreme. It was just one lie, they say. But what they don't understand is this: lying to a Scorpio is like breaking a sacred contract. Because if there's one thing Scorpio offers with unmatched intensity, it is their loyalty. Unshakable, relentless, devoted to the core. So when you lie to someone like that, you don't just break trust, you break the very spiritual exchange that made the relationship real. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you are not wrong for walking away after one lie. Your energy is sacred, your gift of trust is rare. Never let anyone tell you that your standards are too much. They're not. They are your protection. For everyone else, if a Scorpio trusted you, understand what you held in your hands. A bond that was built not on surface smiles, but on soul-level surrender. If you lie to that, don't be surprised when the door closes and never reopens. Thing number 2, disrespecting their boundaries. Scorpio may not tell you where the line is, but cross it once and you'll know. Unlike signs who set loud external boundaries, Scorpio's limits are energetic and sacred. They don't always verbalize them because they expect require you to feel them. And if you don't, to Scorpio, that's not just ignorance, that's a form of betrayal. Scorpios are private not because they're hiding something, but because they're guarding something rare, the sanctity of their inner world. Their silence, their solitude, their mystery is where they regenerate, observe, and heal. So when someone invades that space emotionally, physically, or spiritually without permission, they're not just crossing a line. They're violating a temple. Imagine you walked into a cathedral barefoot shouting. That's what it feels like for a Scorpio when someone disrespects their energetic space. Loud opinions, unsolicited advice, passive aggression disguised as just joking, prying questions, emotional dumping. Each one chips away at the sacred walls they spent years building. Let me tell you about Diego, a Scorpio man in his early 40s. He was in a relationship with someone who claimed to love him deeply but couldn't stop mocking his silence. She called him too intense. She constantly accused him of being emotionally unavailable, and worst of all, she read his private journal during an argument. He didn't scream. He didn't break down. He just walked out. She texted him the next day, "You're seriously ending this over a journal?" And his only reply was, "No, I'm ending it because you broke into the only place I still felt safe." That's how serious it is. Scorpio's boundaries aren't walls, they're soul membranes, invisible, sacred, fragile, and once torn, they don't heal easily. So when people say, "You're being too sensitive," Scorpio hears, "I don't care about your spirit." And from that moment on, they start silencing their vulnerability around you until it disappears altogether. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you don't owe access to anyone who refuses to handle your boundaries with respect. Your silence is not a problem, it's a protection mechanism. Honor it, defend it, make no apologies for it. For everyone else, when a Scorpio lets you in, you are walking through holy ground. If you don't have the emotional maturity to treat that space with reverence, don't enter at all. Thing number 3, emotional manipulation. Scorpio doesn't play emotional games, and they certainly don't play with people who do. To a Scorpio, love is ritualistic, it's sacred, it's binding, it's deep beyond words. So when someone tries to manipulate that bond through guilt, withholding, reverse psychology, or subtle control, it's not just offensive, it's unforgivable. Most manipulators underestimate Scorpio. They think because Scorpio is emotional, they're easy to sway. Because Scorpio is quiet, they're easy to mold. Because Scorpio is intense, they must be easily triggered. But that's the mistake. What people forget is that Scorpio is the sign of transformation, and that includes seeing through masks, even the ones disguised as affection. They may let you think it's working for a while. They may even observe in silence, collecting the way your manipulation takes shape. But Scorpio is never being controlled. They're studying your patterns. And when the truth fully clicks in, the switch flips, and the version of them you used to access is dead. Let me share the story of Tasha, a Scorpio woman in her 30s who had a partner who always used the phrase, "If you really loved me, you'd..." That sentence became a weapon. If you really loved me, you wouldn't need time alone. If you really loved me, you'd pick me over your career. If you really loved me, you'd tell me everything. At first, she questioned herself. She gave more. She gave up things she once treasured, her space, her rituals, her independence. But one night she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize herself. Her fire was dim. Her mystery felt exposed. Her love felt used. So she left, quietly, finally. Years later, that same partner reached out and said, "You just ghosted. I never got closure." She replied, "Emotional manipulation never gets a goodbye. It only gets distance." That's how Scorpio responds. You don't get a war, you don't get closure, you don't get access. Because the moment you use love as leverage, Scorpio no longer sees you as a partner. They see you as a threat to their soul. Life lesson. For Scorpio, your depth is not a weakness, it's your sacred territory. Anyone who tries to twist your emotions to get what they want isn't loving you, they're consuming you. Trust your gut. End it early. For everyone else, if you love a Scorpio, let it be love, not strategy, not games, not pressure, disguised as passion. Because once Scorpio feels the strings around their heart, they will cut them all and they will never retie them again. Thing number 4, betrayal by a loved one. There are wounds, and then there are soul-level betrayals. Scorpio can survive almost anything, but there's one thing they never fully come back from: being betrayed by someone they trusted with their entire being. Because when a Scorpio loves you, they don't do it in halves. They love with their eyes closed and their energy wide open. They hand you the keys not just to their heart, but to the dark corridors of their inner world, the places no one else has been allowed to enter. So when someone they love stabs them in the back, it's not just pain, it's a sacred collapse. Scorpio doesn't fear enemies, they fear false allies. The friend who smiles while envying them, the partner who confesses love while secretly preparing to leave, the family member who says, "I support you," but gossips behind closed doors. It's not the betrayal itself that breaks them, it's the misuse of intimacy. You see, Scorpio gives from a place few people even know exists. They give loyalty that doesn't flinch. They keep secrets like vaults. They hold you when you're at your worst, and they don't run. But when the person they stood beside becomes the source of their pain, something changes inside them forever. Let me tell you the story of Isaiah, a Scorpio man in his late 30s. He had a best friend since college, a man he defended, protected, and supported through job loss, heartbreak, even legal issues. One day, Isaiah discovered that same friend had taken credit for his work on a project and profited from it. Worse, when confronted, the friend said, "It's just business, man. I thought you'd understand." That line cut deeper than the betrayal itself. Because to Scorpio, it wasn't just business, it was loyalty, brotherhood, soul-level devotion. Isaiah didn't yell, he didn't fight. He simply said, "You've made it clear you were never standing beside me, just next to me." And he walked away for good. Scorpio's form of grief isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like silence, sometimes it looks like hyper-productivity. But inside, they're burning it all down, the dreams, the memories, the identity that once included you. They're not seeking revenge. They're shedding the version of themselves that trusted you. And the new version that rises will never open that door again. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you are allowed to grieve the death of a connection that was sacred to you, but you are not required to resurrect what betrayed you. Your loyalty is a divine force, only give it where it won't be weaponized. For everyone else, if a Scorpio ever loved you deeply, know this. You held a once-in-a-lifetime connection. But if you betrayed that bond, don't expect to find your way back. They don't rebuild bridges. They burn them with ceremony and walk forward without looking back. Thing number 5, being publicly embarrassed. Scorpio can endure heartbreak. They can endure silence. They can even endure betrayal in private. But public humiliation, that's something they never forget and never forgive. To Scorpio, dignity is sacred, not because they crave praise or recognition, but because they've built their identity through pain, privacy, and perseverance. They control their image because that's how they protect their soul. So when someone laughs at them, exposes them, mocks them, or reveals private truths in front of others, it's not just embarrassing, it's sacrilege. Let me give you a true story. Juliana, a Scorpio woman, once dated someone who thought teasing her in public was fun. He'd tell private jokes at parties. He'd reveal personal stories she told him in confidence. Sometimes he'd mock her intensity, her silence, her weird rituals, her emotional depth in front of his friends to get a laugh. Everyone thought it was cute, except her. She never reacted outwardly. She just stopped smiling, stopped speaking, started detaching bit by bit until one day she left a single note. I'm not your entertainment. I'm not your punchline. What I gave you was sacred. What you gave back was shame. And she never answered his messages again. People say Scorpio is too sensitive. But what they don't understand is that every Scorpio holds a past filled with shame, secrets, and scars. So when you make a joke at their expense, especially in front of others, you're not just hitting a nerve, you're tearing open an old wound that took years to close. Public embarrassment to a Scorpio isn't just a moment, it's a soul fracture because their image is part of their emotional shield. When you strip that away in front of others, you don't just humiliate them. You make them feel exposed, unsafe, and spiritually naked. And when that happens, they retreat. Not to sulk, but to bury the version of themselves you'll never see again. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you don't owe your laughter to anyone who makes you the subject of mockery. You've worked too hard to build your strength from the inside out. Protect your name, your energy, and your dignity, even if that means walking away without applause. For everyone else, if you're lucky enough to have earned a Scorpio's trust, guard it in public as fiercely as you do in private. Because once you make them feel small in front of others, they'll make sure you never see their full self again. Thing number 6, loyalty without depth. Scorpio doesn't need crowds. They don't need constant reassurance. They don't even need you to understand every layer of them. But if you claim to be loyal, you'd better mean it with your soul. Because Scorpio doesn't do performative loyalty, they don't care about gestures for show, they care about what you do when no one's watching, what you say about them behind closed doors, how you carry their name when they're not in the room. To Scorpio, loyalty without depth is worse than betrayal. It's fake devotion masquerading as love. People often think loyalty is just not cheating. But for Scorpio, it goes so much deeper. Loyalty is defending them when others criticize their intensity, holding their secrets like sacred fire, standing by them in silence when they're unraveling, believing in their vision even when it's buried in darkness. So when someone calls themselves loyal, but shows no emotional depth, no real investment, no willingness to endure the shadows alongside them, Scorpio sees right through it. They may smile, they may say thank you, but inside, they've already written you off as someone who's loyal in name only. Let me share a story. Marcus, a Scorpio in his late 20s, had a longtime friend who always showed up on birthdays, holidays, big wins. He'd post about their friendship, talk about being there for life, wear the bracelet Marcus gave him like a badge. But the moment Marcus went through a deep depression, silence. No calls, no messages, no showing up. When Marcus finally confronted him, the friend said, "I just didn't know what to say. I figured you'd reach out if you needed me." Marcus looked him in the eye and said, "You showed up for my highlight reel, but disappeared from my behind the scenes." That was the last conversation they ever had. Scorpio doesn't need perfect loyalty. They need real loyalty. Loyalty that stays even when the glow fades. Loyalty that doesn't flinch when things get messy. Loyalty that says, "I may not understand you fully, but I'm here soul first." Anything less than that, it's not loyalty. It's performance. Life lesson. For Scorpio, never lower your standard of loyalty to accommodate surface-level people. You were born to experience relationships that transform, not just occupy space. Let the shallow ones drift. They cannot swim where you go. For everyone else, if you want a Scorpio in your life, don't just claim loyalty, prove it in silence, in shadow, in stillness. Because Scorpio will never tolerate a loyalty that looks good, but feels empty. Thing number 7, empty apologies. To some, an apology is a formality, something you say to smooth things over, a quick, sorry, and then move on. But to Scorpio, an apology is a spiritual act. It's not about saying the right words, it's about owning the harm, feeling the weight of what you did, and showing through action, not performance, that you understand the depth of what was broken. You see, Scorpio doesn't want the perfect apology. They want the honest one, the raw one, the one that comes from your soul, not your strategy. They want to feel that you actually sat with what you did, that you didn't just regret the consequences, you regretted the damage. And if you can't go there, if you say, "I'm sorry," just to shut down the conversation, just to make them feel guilty for still being hurt, just to rush the healing they haven't even begun, then to Scorpio, your apology becomes another violation. Let me tell you a story. Elena, a Scorpio in her mid-30s, had a partner who cheated. When she found out, he cried, he brought flowers. He said, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake. Let's just move past it. I love you." But to her, that wasn't an apology. That was a plea for forgiveness without ownership. That was a desperate attempt to erase the impact without addressing the cause. What she needed wasn't roses, she needed remorse. She needed reflection. She needed him to say, "I understand I broke your trust. I won't pressure you to forgive me. I'll sit in this with you as long as it takes because you didn't deserve this pain." But he never said those words, so she walked. Not because he made a mistake, but because he made her healing about him. To Scorpio, a hollow apology isn't healing, it's manipulation wrapped in politeness. And they will never ever tolerate being rushed out of their own pain just to comfort someone who caused it. Life lesson. For Scorpio, your pain is valid. You don't have to accept an apology just because it was offered. Healing is not a transaction, it's a sacred process. And you have every right to reject what doesn't feel real. For everyone else, when you hurt a Scorpio, don't just say sorry. Show that you understand why it hurt. Give them space. Let them breathe. And remember, a true apology is not about being forgiven. It's about being accountable. Thing number 8, being replaced without closure. Scorpio doesn't demand forever. They understand that people change paths, diverge, seasons end. But what they can never accept, what tears through their soul like ice, is being replaced quietly without a word, without a ritual, without closure. You see, Scorpio isn't afraid of endings. They are the sign of death and rebirth. But they do expect endings to be sacred, honest, acknowledged. They believe that if you were once everything you deserve more than silence when you become nothing. To Scorpio, ghosting, fading out, sudden indifference, these aren't just impolite, they are violent. Because when Scorpio loves, they do it with ceremony. They remember the date they met you. They remember the first secret they told you. They remember the night they finally let their guard down and let you in. So when you replace them with another friend, another lover, another confidant without even saying goodbye, you don't just remove yourself from their life. You erase the history, the meaning, the soul print they thought you left on each other. And to Scorpio, that's not closure, that's abandonment. I once heard the story of Julian, a Scorpio who had a best friend for over 10 years. They talked every day, shared every life milestone, until one day, nothing. No texts, no calls, just photos online with new friends, new circles, new energy. He wasn't bitter, he wasn't jealous, but something in him cracked because no words were spoken, no explanation, no "thank you for the years," no "I'm growing, I need distance," just absence. And to a Scorpio, that absence speaks louder than betrayal. You don't have to stay in a Scorpio's life forever, but if you leave, honor the ending. Speak, acknowledge, offer truth even if it's messy. Because when someone disappears without closure, Scorpio doesn't just feel pain. They begin to question if any of it was real. And once they start doubting the reality of your connection, they begin rewriting the entire past in shadow. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you don't need someone's closure to reclaim your peace. Your ability to grieve in silence is power. But know this, you were real, even if they vanished, even if they replaced you, even if they pretended you were never there, you were. For everyone else, don't exit a Scorpio's life like a thief in the night. Say what's true. End it with honesty. Because if you disappear without a word, don't be surprised when the door behind you never opens again. Thing number 9, control or possession. You can love a Scorpio. You can desire them. You can stand in awe of their mystery. But the moment you try to own them, you've already lost them. Scorpio does not tolerate control. Not in relationships, not in friendships, not in family, not even in the name of love. Because to Scorpio, control is not care. Control is not passion. Control is a prison, and Scorpio was not born to be caged. They may move quietly. They may give in deeply. They may even let you think you lead sometimes. But underneath it all, Scorpio is always asking one question: can I still breathe in this connection? If the answer becomes no, if they start to feel managed, manipulated, or monitored, their soul begins looking for the nearest exit. And once they find it, they don't just leave the situation, they leave the version of themselves that allowed that kind of control to exist. Let me share the story of Renee, a Scorpio woman who fell deeply in love with someone who adored her passionately. But that passion came with expectations. Let me know where you are at all times. Don't wear that it's too much. You don't need to talk to your ex-friends anymore. I just care. I'm just trying to protect you. At first, it felt like devotion, but over time, she felt the walls closing in, not physically, spiritually. She realized I was no longer being loved, I was being contained. So she did what only a Scorpio can do when they feel their essence being crushed. She vanished. Not in rage, not in spite, but in self-preservation. Scorpio needs freedom to feel. Freedom to go dark. Freedom to be silent. Freedom to be reborn without permission. When someone tries to control their light or their shadow, Scorpio doesn't rebel outwardly. They implode inwardly until the entire relationship suffocates in silence. You cannot chain a phoenix. You cannot possess a storm. You cannot claim ownership over someone who has died and resurrected themselves more times than you've said I love you. Life lesson. For Scorpio, your sovereignty is sacred. Don't confuse control for care. Real love lets you transform. Real love holds space, not leashes. Choose only the connections that let your soul breathe fully for everyone else. If you're drawn to a Scorpio, understand this. They will give you everything, but the moment you try to hold them tighter than they choose, they will slip through your fingers like smoke. Not because they don't love you, but because they love themselves more than they fear being alone. Thing number 10. Pretending nothing happened after hurting them. There's one thing Scorpio hates more than being hurt. It's when the person who hurt them acts like it never happened. No apology, no acknowledgement, no ownership, just silence, just pretending, just moving on. You see, Scorpio doesn't need you to be perfect. They don't expect you to never make mistakes. What they do expect is that if you wound their heart, you respect the damage enough to name it. Because to Scorpio, pretending nothing happened isn't peace, it's erasure. It's emotional gaslighting. It's a direct insult to the pain they had to transmute in silence. Let me tell you a story. Darius, a Scorpio man, was in a long-term friendship with someone who betrayed his trust, sharing confidential information during a moment of social gossip. Darius didn't find out from the friend, he found out from a stranger. When he confronted the friend, there was no apology. Just a shrug. Just, I didn't think it was a big deal. And after that, the friend started texting as if nothing happened, sending memes, inviting him to hang out, never once bringing up the rupture that still bled inside Darius's heart. That's when he knew. He didn't just betray me, he invalidated the wound he caused, and there's no coming back from that. Scorpio doesn't expect closure from everyone, but they do expect acknowledgement. Even a single line like, I know I hurt you, I don't know how to fix it, but I see it. That alone can open the door to healing. But when someone skips that step, when they act like nothing happened, Scorpio shuts the door, not in revenge, not in cruelty, but in sacred self-respect. Because to Scorpio, every emotional experience is real. They don't pretend, they don't forget. and they will never allow someone who minimizes their pain to remain close to their soul. Life lesson. For Scorpio, you have every right to walk away from people who act like your pain is invisible. You don't need a dramatic exit, just a clear decision. If you can't honor my experience, you don't deserve my presence. For everyone else, don't fake peace to avoid responsibility. Don't send a hey message after you broke someone's spirit. If you've hurt a Scorpio, acknowledge it. Because if you don't, they won't yell, they won't chase, they'll just disappear, and you'll spend the rest of your life wondering where the light went. Conclusion. The sacred edge of a Scorpio's love. Now you see it, don't you? Scorpio's elince isn't emptiness. It's full of history, full of emotion, full of the lines they've drawn in invisible ink lines that most people cross without ever noticing. But once you've crossed them, there's no warning, no loud exit, just distance. The kind that leaves echoes. Scorpio doesn't scream their boundaries, they live them. And when you violate those sacred non-negotiables, lying to them, mocking their pain, trying to control them, replacing them without saying goodbye, or pretending nothing happened after slicing their heart open, they don't explode, they evolve. And their evolution always starts with letting go. Some people say Scorpio is too intense, too guarded, too unforgiving. But here's what those people don't understand. Scorpio is the keeper of soul contracts. They don't give you casual access. They don't play with energy. They don't throw around loyalty like confetti. When they choose you, they choose with their whole being. And when they walk away, it's not out of ego. It's because your actions told their spirit. This connection is no longer sacred. So what can we learn from Scorpio? That boundaries are not cruelty. That silence can be protection. That some hearts are forged in fire and they only open to those who know how to hold what burns without flinching. Scorpio's intolerance is not harshness, it's clarity, it's wisdom, it's survival. To the Scorpio watching this, you are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too cold. You are rare. You are deep. And you are sacred. Hold your standards like fire. Speak them or don't, but live them with pride. Because your soul was never meant to be handled by those who fear the dark. To everyone else, if a Scorpio lets you in, honor that access. They're not asking for perfection. They're asking for presence, for honesty, for energy that doesn't flinch in the face of intensity. And if you hurt them, own it, name it, don't pretend. Because if they ever walk away without a word, know that silence is their final prayer for peace. And once it's spoken, they never return. Call to action. Are you a Scorpio? Which one of these 10 things have you walked away from silently, permanently, and without regret? Or have you ever lost a Scorpio and only now realized why? Tell us in the comments below. Your story may be the mirror someone else needs. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the Path to Buddha Wisdom, for more truth, more depth, and more astrology that speaks to your soul,